Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Just Real Quick. We got a special guest in the studio today, Mr. Mitchell Rose. So we got some exciting stuff we're going to cover. We actually just left the outline over there on the table. So I didn't even looked at it. Just leave it over there, Connor. Leave it over there. We got plenty of stuff to talk about.
For sure.
And as always, I've got my co-hosts, Brandon Neal, Jeff Fieldstead, excited to jam with a good friend of mine, Mitchell. We've been working together now over the past 4 years.
Is it 21? 2021?
Was it 21?
2021
Yeah.
is when I first reached out. The first time I met you officially was when you were wearing your sweet Halloween outfit that was the ski, like the 80s ski outfit.
Yep. No, I was definitely unprepared for that Halloween party, and I was like, this might go. And I was probably skiing the next day in it. I'm not kidding. And I was like, my dad gave me this old ski suit, and I was like, oh yeah,
dude, it was so awesome. It was so awesome.
Yeah,
it was memorable. And then did you really wear it skiing?
Oh yeah, that was like my normal, like the whole onesie. Yeah.
Was it like the Blades of Glory?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what it was?
Exactly.
That's a killer movie,
like
by
the
the way.
red, white, and blue full onesie.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I know my dad gave me one, and then I bought another one off of Amazon, so that might have been the more.
So funny. You know, I always talk about that. I always talk about people never outperform their own self-image, and then I'll talk about how some people dress up as a cowboy on Halloween, and it's a costume, and other people, that's just what they wear every day.
Right.
So it's interesting. So you wear a ski suit for Halloween, and everybody thinks it's a costume, but for you, it was
the reality.
Normal attire.
Yeah.
Just really unprepared.
Yeah.
But from the outside looking in, having never met you, I'm like, dude, he found a great Halloween costume.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
So, yeah, dude, a lot has happened over the past 4 years since I first met you. And a lot was happening at that time in your career. And then we got to start working together, and we've done a lot of great things together, including partnering on a couple of cool projects. So, you know, one of the things that I think is valuable when we're putting out content for our audience is examples of success and the mindset behind it, and to make it to help build belief in people that it's possible. It's possible for them too. And not everybody is a part of JKR Windows that watches this. There's a lot of different people from around the country and around Utah that have different aspirations, and they're not always in alignment with us, but that's the fun part about bringing guests on, is you have a unique perspective and a unique path that you've gone down since being the man in the van all the way now to being a really successful entrepreneur and business owner. So would love to get some of the backstory on what led you to be the man in the van and where you're at today.
Love it. Yeah, the van thing, moving from California to Utah, was going to college, doing that and working at Black Bear Diner in town and just serving, and that taught me a lot as far as the whole customer service aspect and just how to communicate with people. My whole family, I remember before I even got that job, they're like, Mitch can't even spell work. I'm like, yeah, I can. W-U-R-Q, work. But no, that side of.
I mean, you did go to public school in California.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. We'll give you that.
Exactly. But no, moving, I got my own apartment in town here, and it was like $1,000 a month for a one bed at the time, which is probably now $1,800. But yeah, I just remember not making a ton, and I was always like, man, if I started watching YouTube videos and seeing these people going and traveling. I've always been inspired by travel, and seeing these guys living in their vans and making it just look so cush, and just watching these YouTube people posting about it, and I'm like, man, that'd be kind of a cool avenue. I wonder, what that would look like for me. But bought a little Chevy Astro van and converted that, and that was like my first one. It was just the tester. Definitely wasn't big enough.
Did you do the conversion yourself?
Sloppy.
Yes,
but yeah,
but it was sloppy.
I had a guy do like the solar system, because that's just not my thing. But yeah, I just made the bed and stuff like that. But that one, again, I wasn't really living out of, but I was able to move out of my apartment, and then I was living at my mom's house I was just like, man, I'm tired of investing my money into this guy who owns this massive apartment complex. I was like, I want to be that guy that owns that massive complex, but I don't want to be the one paying him.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what could I do to, start reinvesting back into myself, meaning trying to save and stuff like that. So moved into that brown van and just started stacking as much cash as possible, and still going to college at the time. And I think I had just graduated high school, first semester of college, and I was so eager to buy a house. I wanted it so bad and couldn't really afford it. I had like 30 grand saved up, and my grandpa drove me over to this lot in New Harmony, which is where they live, and was like, Mitch, if you buy this lot, I promise you're not going to regret it. It was $52,000. I'm like, this fool don't know what he's talking about, but whatever, I'll listen to him since he's always right. He always preaches. He's always right. And so anyways, ended up buying it, put like 18,000 down. It was like the whole balloon payment for that. And, that was like my first barrier of entry, I guess, into real estate. It was the only thing I could afford.
Grandpa got you in.
Yeah,
awesome.
Which was awesome.
What's impressive to me is you were 18 years old and had 30 grand saved.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows I couldn't get 30 grand saved when I was 18. Money was burning a hole in my pocket.
No, it's true. And I think the last podcast we talked on, one of the things was when I was probably 10 years old, every year, my birthday's December 7th, so Christmas and birthday are around the same time, and everyone always say, what's Mitch want for his birthday and Christmas? And I'm like, money. I'd ask for money from everybody. Mm-hmm. And every year it would total up to around $1,100, and I'd take $100 for me and then give $1,000 to my dad to put in my savings account, which was a mutual fund. I didn't know. But yeah, seriously, being 10, 11, 12, however old, through those years asking for money. And I always just was like, man, I don't need these toys, or I don't need whatever, like save it for a rainy day, which is like, who thinks like that at 10 years old? But that's essentially how it happened. And then when I moved into that apartment was on my 18th birthday, and I'm like, Dad, I'm ready for my money now. Like, and so he cashed it out, gave it to me. I threw some of it in stocks for a little bit, and then
what does your dad do?
Firefighter.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did he know how did he know about mutual funds?
He'd done some investing. Was definitely and is still currently more of the timid investor. His risk tolerance is not high.
Mm-hmm. It is unique though, because my dad's also a firefighter, and never, as far as I know, never had money in any investment outside of what the department had offered him. And he's one of those guys that money's always burning a hole in his pocket. Mm-hmm. He's like, I actually been thinking about buying this truck.
Yep. My brother does it.
It's unique, dude. It's so cool that he taught you those philosophies early on. And we ought to talk to him one time about where he got that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And on that, do you feel like your sorry, give me a sec.
But what was it, his dad that taught you how to get into real estate, that helped you buy that property?
No, that was my mom's dad.
Okay.
Yeah. He was more of business, did sales, owned his own carpet business and stuff like that. My dad's dad, he was also a hardcore sales guy selling freight when he moved from Canada. So both of my grandpas are like my sales guys. Like they're like, my grandpa calls me every day and he's like, making money today. He's like, gets all fired up about it, but he loves sales, dude. Awesome. That was his jam. But he was like back in the day going through seriously like phone books, like
cold calling.
Yeah, in LA, freaking cold calling and finding
drumming up some business.
What are they doing it for? Well, I could do it for this, and buying them Disneyland passes and this and that. Like he was doing whatever it took. And my grandma was the conservative, worked at Bank of America, saving every penny. Now that she's passed, my grandpa's just bought the pontoon boat, doing this, doing that. He's like flexing hard. It's pretty awesome. But no, I was gonna ask, with your dad, do you feel like being a firefighter typically, like, I guess for you looking at him, did you feel like you always wanted that sense of security in your life? Like knowing like, okay, he's got, the pension, he's got a stable salary, stuff like that. Like where was your mind growing up with a dad?
I guess I never put a ton of thought into it. Later on in my career, when I was like deciding whether or not to go back to building houses or to pursue being a mechanic, then he had talked to me about, he brought some of those things up again. He's like, you got the pension, you got security, this job is never going away. And I went and tested to be a firefighter because the things that were important to him, he'd always talked to me about. And at that point in my career, they were appealing. But besides that, like I'd never thought about those things. They were never important to me. But when you're at that stage in your own career and like the future's looking a little bleak as a mechanic, I'm working next to this guy. I've been doing it 20 years longer than me. It's like, this is what my life's going to look like in 20 years. I got to find something else to do.
Right.
And I always respect my dad. And he made, in our circles, he made pretty good money. And, things have turned out the way that they have. And I went down that path. I tested to be a firefighter. I tested in the top, I was the top candidate out of 694 people, the top candidate.
Wow.
But because of a 4-month discrepancy on a weed ticket that I had gotten, and my 5 years was up in 4 months, they weren't willing to let that slide.
Wow.
It was really too tiny of a. Says the guy holding this mic, bro.
Just put that thing a little closer so we can hear you.
We can't hear that joke. What are you trying to say over there?
No, we know that's not true.
That's funny.
No, I think there is it's a special position in my life that my dad has, and as a firefighter, and those things that were important to him have helped shaped my life in certain ways, and he's been an example to me in a lot of different ways. Financially, not one of them. He's got his pension. But as outside of that, like saving money, we never had one single conversation about that in my entire life. Still to this day.
Well, it's so
I
rare.
actually went and met with him when I was doing Primerica. I helped him get life insurance, talked to him about doing some investments. So I was the one that initiated that once I became an adult. Other than that, we'd never talk about it in my entire life.
Yeah, I had that. I asked my dad probably 5 months ago. I was like, Dad, do you what do you think about everything that I'm doing? I always look up to my dad for a lot of things, but it's come to the point over the years that now I understand that he is just an opinion from his perspective, but I wouldn't make a decision unless I had his thumbs up on it. Like, Dad, what do you think? But then it's come to other things when it's like the real estate side of things. And I'm like, what do you think about everything? He's like, honestly, Mitch, everything you're doing scares the absolute shit out of me. But he's like, I trust that you're doing your research and you're making educated decisions. So, but he's just like, everything you're doing scares the shit out of me. But it's also like when I bought that first property, it gave him confidence to go buy his 10 acres up in New Harmony, which was $200,000, and now it's worth $800.
Yep. I'm
like, Dad, you see how that works? Like, obviously we timed it great, right? But
and you end up selling yours, right? How much did you make? Was Grandpa right?
Yep, I sold it last year at this time for $250. Yeah,
pretty good return.
Yeah, so
and you had since paid it off.
Yeah, I had paid it off probably 2 years later. But yeah, I did. I put it on the market for like $239, thinking I'd probably get $225 for it. And then I posted a video on my Instagram. A realtor saw it that I knew and was like, dude, why didn't you tell me I have a buyer? I'm like, well, how the hell am I supposed to know? But posted it. That ended up being the buyer, and he wanted to do seller finance.
Wow.
And I'm like, honestly, I don't. Like, I was selling it with the intention to put that money into my new house, which he gave me $70,000 down. I put that into remodel. That took it all. And then he still owes me like $175, $180.
But you still carry the note on it for defaults.
Yep.
You get the property.
5.5% is what we settled on.
Good deal. Dude.
And he pays like $1,100 a month.
Had you ever done a seller finance before that?
Nope.
I thought you were just getting ready to say, I had no idea what I was doing.
No. I mean, again, that's just like even what you were telling Hayden, just anything that you're not an expert in, don't even try to become an expert. It's like having Jared in my corner. I'm like, Jared, how's this going to work, dude? Write up the contract, make sure I'm not getting screwed over. They were trying to negotiate hard. But yeah, I ended up, we were dabbling with the interest rate and pre-penalty payoffs and stuff like that. But we landed on the 5.5%. He gave me $10K over asking. And then again, every year that I hold that, I'm making another basically $10,000 per, which I was like, yeah, I'll stretch that out. Cause
how many years is the note?
I think it's a 20 year.
So it's amortized at 20. When's the payoff?
I think it's 7.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But he's planning on he welds out in Black Desert. And so he's planning on like he's trying to build like a little barn dominium first, cash. Yeah. And do that, but still have me as the loan, and then eventually refi out and probably get a construction loan, build his big house. But it sounded like he was eager to get out of my loan. But the more that time has gone on, I've even called him and just got a read of where he's at, just to see if I'm going to get a lump sum just to plan for it. And he's like, yeah, I'm just, he just basically told me that plan. And but yeah, it sounds like he's going to try to ride it out, which I'm like, I'm fine with that. Like the delayed gratification.
Better for you.
Yeah. Right.
It
it's like,
as long as rates don't go down below 5, you're good,
right.
Which is probably not going to happen.
Yeah. And that's it. I think to an extent, I got right at that sweet spot, 5.5%, where it's like probably could have gotten a better, right? But then the potential of him refining out, it could have hurt me in the long run. So
yeah.
But
good job.
So I'm curious, dude. There's a couple of these break points that I've seen you go through in your business that have just led you to something that 4 years ago you probably would have never thought possible. And I always saw it in you. But one of the first things that we ever talked about as it pertains to business was your price points. And you were, at that time when I met you, you were running around like a freaking chicken with your head cut off, trying to do everything for everybody for as low of a cost as possible. And do you remember what the first thing that I told you was?
Raise your prices. Is that what you told them?
Was it?
I tell everybody that. Raise your prices.
I've had that
if you're
lesson.
Busy, raise your prices.
Yeah. No, and it's demand, it's there. But that was one of my first, so this was 2019, so before I even met you. Yeah. I had left Black Bear, decided to go all in on doing video, and my first month was like $2,200, $3,000, whatever. And then I started in like July. By December, I think I had like total 19,000 in sales, and I did like 3,000 that month, and I was like running around like crazy. And I'm like, dude, if this is what videographers make, like this ain't for me. And I'm bitching and complaining and telling to everybody, and then my dad snapped at me, bitch, just raise your fucking prices. I'm like, shit, okay. And I was like charging $50 an hour was my thing. Yeah. Then I bumped it to 100, and then that next month, I did like 7,000 or something, and I was like, oh, okay, and started to, that was my learning lesson essentially. But that next full year was 2020, and I did like 98,000, so just barely hit almost 6 figures.
I think this is such a good topic because a lot of people, especially if they have control of their pricing, whether you're self-employed, a videographer. I was just having this conversation with my barber. This exact conversation. And it's hard getting into her, right? I've got to book out a long ways.
She's really freaking good.
She is really good. Yeah, she does a great job. And because she does a good job, she's booked out probably 2 months in advance. So if you don't set an appointment with her right now and have it booked out multiple months, you're not getting in. And so I told her, I said, hey, she charges $50. I said, you need to double your prices. And she's scared. She's like, I can't do that, but I'm always working. She's a single mom. And I said, listen, if you double your prices, so you go from 50 to 100 a cut, and even if you lose half of your customers, you're still making the same amount of money and freed up half of your time, And you can use that to go spend more time with your kids or create more customers. And then the customers you keep are ones that really want to keep coming, and those are the ones that are probably going to refer you to better people.
Yep.
And I didn't think she was going to do it, but then actually Hayden came in and said, hey, she just raised her prices. And I'm like, good job.
You got to know your customers, right?
Yeah.
If they're willing to pay $50 for a haircut, they're probably willing to pay $100.
Yeah.
Right.
If they want a good haircut.
At least half of them are.
Yeah.
At least half, yeah. And I think this is the same thing with videography,
Yep.
which a lot of people are scared to raise their prices because they're worried about losing customers.
Yep. I was.
Yeah.
That was my first thing. I'm like, oh, if I'll lose so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so.
But do you think it was a necessary process to do all that work up front to get good at it, though?
Totally.
Do you think there was so maybe
and
there
create
is
demand
Yeah.
too, right? Yeah. But yeah, 100%. I love, I don't know if you want to call it the solopreneur but like any of those service type, barbers, videographers, just hairstylists,
marketing.
Oh yeah, everything, like
podcast people.
Yeah. Exactly. But no, like anything in that space, it's like, to me, the most beautiful journey to watch that progress from beginning to feeling flustered to getting that little bit of advice that takes you to the next level, then the next level. But, at some point, it's like, it's beautiful to stay in that bubble. However, when it comes to the point, it's like, it's still only her and her time and her skill, right? And then that's when a new set of problems begins to happen. What do you desire? What do you want for yourself? You just have to like ask yourself those questions. And it's like same thing with when we were working together. Me and Jeff are flying from here to there, getting kicked off of planes in COVID and all sorts of travel going on. But I was running around insane, and he helped give me that lift for sure to own my prices, own my worth. And obviously, like, it was 6 figures the one year, then I did 200 the next. I'm like, 200,000? No way you can do more than that. Then the next was 300. No way you can do more than that. And then the next was 500. No way. And then I was like, at the 500, I was like, okay, you know what? Be careful the stuff you tell yourself. Like she said, oh, I can't raise my prices. Why not? Yeah. It's just the story and the narrative you tell yourself and what you believe in. And
well, you're really good, and there's no shortcuts to becoming really good. And I've made the mistake before of having somebody charge a lot up front before they're good, and then you pay them all this money and they don't perform with what they promised they'd perform with. They don't come through with it, right? Which that kills your credibility if you're there.
Ruins your reputation.
Ruins your reputation. So you built a great reputation by putting in the repetitions and the time when you were underpaid. You were willing to be underpaid for an extended period of time to get really, really good. And you might have waited a little bit too long to raise your prices, but I think that's a better way to be than going the other way. Would you agree?
Totally. Yeah. And most people do, I feel like, wait too long. They have to hear it over and over, but they just have to hit their breaking point and say enough is enough.
I would argue
there's almost
to say
an equal amount of people that do it too early too.
Yes,
it just puts them out of business.
I would actually argue to say that almost everybody operates the way Brandon was saying, because it's rare that you meet somebody that makes the decision to actually get good. But the people that do get good and the people that do separate themselves from the pack, I do agree that they wait too long.
Yeah.
And that's who I really think you're thinking about as those people, because everybody else who doesn't have a good reputation or they're not pros, that you're not even looking at them as like they're in the industry, right? They're just on their way out.
It's a good sign when you have a customer tell you should charge more.
Yeah. No, totally.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
I think that's when you know.
Yeah, and it's funny too. Like I had a client.
That's your right customer.
That's the right customer.
That's part of the 50% sticks around because they see the value in what you offer.
And they care about you succeeding if you're offering value to them as well.
Totally. And
and we want more of your time without having to beg for it.
Right.
And I think this is another thing where I've always said, friends don't go to a friend's business and ask for a discount. They're willing to overpay and help.
Totally.
Like, I want to see you win.
Yep.
And if you're going to do a good job and provide great value, I want to make sure you stick around long term, especially if there's a win-win relationship. So, You know?
Yeah, that's how it always should
I
be.
hope you
You're
guys are
my
listening
friend.
to that. That's the kind of friend that you want to be.
Yes.
Not the one that comes
And
asking
clients.
for a discount.
I want to pay full price. I want to
Yes.
support you full price.
Yes.
My doctor client, Stacy, she's incredible.
Yeah.
I love what she does. I love what she preaches. I love that what she's all about when it comes to what she believes in about Western medicine versus being a natural practitioner. She's basically like Steven.
Yeah.
And I tell her, I'm like, Stacy, my shoulder is killing me. Been killing me for a while. Like, can I come in and just get some recommendations? I don't know if we're going to do PRP or peptides or stem cells or what. And I go in there on Friday, and she's like poking around. She's like doing a couple little tests, and she's like, yeah, I feel comfortable doing an injection, even not having like an MRI or anything. But, you know, peptides, you're going to have to do like a little 1-inch needle every day or whatever, weekly. And PRP does this, and this. I'm like, what's the best? Like, what's the best thing for my situation? And she's like, stem cells. And I was like, okay, cool. And then she's like, starts hesitating. She's like, it's 2,500. She's like, it's 25. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's fine. And I was like, it's just one injection. And she told me a little bit about it, but I didn't ask. There's so much to know and understand about stem cells. I didn't do one lick of research, and I don't care to because I trust.
Why we use a pro.
Right, right. And she is a pro, and she's a no bullshit kind of pro. Like, and so, but she was hesitant to even tell me like I'd be, and I'm like, you come back to me every month, and we film videos, and you don't fret. I'm like, and next thing you know, I get the stem cell. It's $2,500, and I go, what about these supplements over here? I'm having some stomach problems too. Do you think this will be good for my gut? Yeah. Okay. Also my stress. So I'll get some magnesium, and I start racking it up. It's like ends up being like $3,000, and she charges my card, and then I leave, and she's like, Mitch, I'm such a dumbass. I forgot to give you the 15% discount. I'm like, okay. So she like refunds it, does a 15% off. But again, it's like for me to have clients who invest in me like that, and for me to, it's like even you, my front window broke, the only window I didn't replace on my downtown house.
Mm-hmm.
And I came home from a trip, and it's got a big crack in it. I'm like, damn it. And immediately call Jeff, and come out. It was like $8 or $10,000, something like that. But I'm like, I'm not asking for a discount. I'm not, it's like this fool's invested in me for years.
Yeah.
It's like, I want a good win. And sure as hell, it's the best damn window I've ever had.
Yeah.
I was like, it was cool having the single pane. Like, it was nice, but it let a shit ton of heat in. And then next thing you know, it's like fall. I get to slide those bitches open, get that breeze. I hear the rodeo going on outside. Like, it was awesome. But I was like, awesome. It really did elevate my living experience just from a window. Mm-hmm. But anyways, perfect clients for sure.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the kind of client that you want to be and that you want to have.
Yep.
And sometimes you're going to get to a point where you're burning the candle at both ends. And I was watching you do that, dude, and you did it so well, and you offered so much value. Had you not built yourself to that level and that level of commitment, and it was very clear to me. And I was telling you, I was planning on working with you for a long time and telling you to double your prices, planning on getting more of your time that I didn't have to beg for.
Yeah.
And knowing you're going to pay more money for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. And again, that got to the point where it was just the single man show. And it was like, okay, you either make a decision where you could potentially price yourself out of the market or scale and figure out how to create better systems.
That's the fear, and it's completely made up in your head in most cases, because when you bring as much value as you do, there is no possible way that you are going to price yourself out of the market. Never. There's too much value. You're too relevant. You've got too good of a reputation. And that's the same thing for this gal that does hair.
Yeah.
She's too good. There's too many people that could go anywhere else, but they choose to go to her. And even if she loses half, she is so good that they're going to keep paying more no matter how much she asks.
Yep. I mean, literally that night we were at Justin's house, and he said something. Hey, dude, who cut your hair? I need to go see her. It was like he isn't gonna ask how much she charges. He didn't care.
I'm gonna go get my haircut there tomorrow.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
See, there you go.
Same gal.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You're right.
Lacey.
Though, on that.
Lacey.
Yeah.
100%. It's
Yes.
true. It's like you think it's like, why do people go out? Why is it okay to go buy $150,000 Malibu, but then other people will spend $500,000 on the what is it? Pavati.
Yeah.
Or what? It's like, it's the same concept. People pay for the name, the brand, the reputation, you know. But I've always been trying to provide that level of service, but I also know that there's only one of me, and that's where that scale side came into it. Is like, I can't be everywhere at once. I can't edit everything myself. I can't do these things unless I wanted 3-month turnaround times, right? Which is more doing that client a disservice. So I was like, how do I still keep that value that Mitch can provide, but do it in a way that, again, creates better systems for my business, and again, focuses more on what am I really giving to these clients. Like, I do think I can give a special personality or something as I'm working with a client and dynamic, like we talked about last time, but how can I do my best to duplicate it and also take me out of the equation as much as I'd love to keep selling myself?
Yeah.
How do I, again, just sell?
It's just
what
a
I'm
shift in mindset.
Yeah.
Because I've watched you train with Connor, and I see how detailed you are. And what you do is unique, but it doesn't mean that it's not duplicatable.
Mm-hmm.
So now the focus that I've watched you go back and forth with trying to develop a system around is, how do I duplicate this system? Because there's so much value here, and it's a unique positioning in the marketplace. How do I grow?
Yeah.
This is such a good topic because you go from, we'll call it the solopreneur, running around like crazy, prices too low, to increasing prices because now you've gotten the experience, you're providing the value, to now doing that, to now going, okay, let's assume there is a cap of pricing, which I agree with you, there's not, but let's say there is, because I guess theoretically business principles would say that there is. Mm-hmm. So let's say you reach that cap. Now you have a choice to where you say, okay, I'm comfortable here and I'm going to be a really great solopreneur, or I'm going to scale. And I think in the scaling process, especially with social media, so much of it there's been a lot of talk about this, where I think people worry about scaling too much before they went through that same path. Mm-hmm. Similar to your solopreneur tries to raise prices because they hear that it's a good thing before they actually have the value to command the prices. So I feel like this is another thing. This is a process that somebody that decides to be good at business has to go through, because you have to be able to provide the value. You have to be able to demand the revenue or the prices because you have the reputation and you know you can deliver. And then you have to start thinking about, how do I duplicate this skill set? Mm-hmm. Because what I've seen, and I've said it a lot, that a lot of times in business, you'll see these guys that become larger than life solopreneurs, and they beat on their chest talking about how they're the best and they do command these great prices and all this kind of stuff. And then they build the brand around themselves, and then they can never actually scale, even though at some point they're going to burn out. So then they try to scale and they can't figure out why they can't. Well, it's because you told everybody you were better than them, versus thinking about, how can I scale this process?
Totally.
You agree with that?
100%.
Because obviously you've started to do this. So you're in the scaling process now.
And again, me always thinking about the future, I'm like, how long can I actually do this? And how long can I do it myself? Mm-hmm. And is this really what I want for myself? Like, running around, filming as much as I was, the answer was no. So it's like, okay, well, I don't want to sacrifice the money I can make, I don't want to sacrifice the money I can make and sacrifice my life with it, I guess.
Yeah.
And so, again, it was just like, hey, how can I break this down where I can essentially start making money as a business? And it's as a solopreneur, you start to go through all the battles of like, is it crazy that I'm making money when someone else is doing the job? Oh God, like you go through that. And I remember,
what a cool place to be, though.
Yeah,
because it's what keeps people stuck in a lot of cases. So a lot of industries, a lot of service industries, these guys that, me included, as a carpenter, I prided myself in being damn good. Mm-hmm. And when you're leading a crew and you're building a set of stairs, or you're building a round wall or something that's super complex, I'm just like, get out of the way, let me do this. I knew how to do it all. Mm-hmm. And then you hear those guys like beating their chests, like, nobody knows how to do this as good as me. But how's that?
If you want it done right, you got to do it yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What we don't realize is it leads you to being stuck doing the same thing over and over and over and having to be the guy. And early on in business at JKR Windows, I did the same thing. It was window ordering, or it was a lot of the operations side of the business that I prided myself in becoming an expert in. And then as I started trying to hire people, I was lacking a little bit of patience and setting proper expectations. Like, nobody's as good as doing this as me. And then I was like rubbing their face in it, like, you're never going to be as good as me.
Yep.
That just don't work.
I think it's a tricky thing when you have pride in what you're doing. You're
right.
building something you built from my former business. I mean, I was proud that I got really good at it. And when I sit down with my clients, I wanted the best job to be done. And, and you get to a place where you start hiring these other people that are newer. You're like, man, I don't know if they can do it as good as me, which that's a problem, right? Because we got to get them. I mean, there's personality driven and there's systems driven. And I think personality makes the world go round. Well, all our different personalities, but there's got to be some sort of a system where you can take your business and your talents and your abilities and duplicate that with others, right?
Right.
Because that's really where you can help more people. And not only that, but those people can. I mean, they get to build I think another thing that sometimes business owners can be threatened with is, what if they end up being better than me? Like Jeff came in my business prior to this, right? And he got pretty dang good, right? And he built this big organization, and I think it's easy to go, man, what if they get better than me? And they feel threatened by that instead of proud of that. And I've heard this going around lately, that the only man that wants you to be better than them is your father, right?
I disagree.
I disagree too. Now, but because I think there's a lot of people, I want people that I train and develop and mentor to get better than me.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate.
My one
reward,
photographer, JC, she's like been my main girl on the real estate side of things, and I'm having her kind of train and go through meetings with some of the other people and give them critiques and stuff. And I made a comment to her. I said, hey, is there a reason why they didn't pull those red robes off of the thing? Or I made a comment about that, and she's like, well, said something back, and she goes, there's some stuff that I could critique on your end of things. I question why you don't pull some, because she goes through all the photos before, and I'm like, all right, JC, all right.
Yeah.
But I love it. I'm like, she takes pride in it. I've had her shoot $5 million, $8 million parade homes and have no questions asked. Like when people ask me, well, how good is so-and-so? I'm like, well, she's done this, and this, and works for this, and this person. And if anything's wrong, we're going to go back and redo it, and that's the beauty of it. But
but it is possible to find people, and that's the evolution of a leader in business, is finding people that are as good or better than you. And ultimately, to be able to build something special, you need to come to terms with training people that can do things at least 80% as good as you.
Yep.
But then also, for you to truly go to the next level, it's finding people that are capable, that don't threaten you, that have gotten better than you.
Well, you think about the Buss family just sold the Lakers, so they don't. TWG owns them now. But prior to them owning it was like Jeannie Buss owns the Lakers. Like, she's never going to play basketball as good as LeBron James. But that doesn't mean you don't hire a guy like LeBron. If you're going to go build an incredible team, you're going to go build a dynasty, then you got to be willing to hire people that are better. And she's not even the one training them either.
No one even knows who she is.
No. If she walked in the room, half the time no one would know that she owned the Lakers, right? And she's not the coach. She's just finding a coach. And I think that's an important thing, is learning how to build a system that can outperform any skill set as well. Because at some point, if you keep going down this road, technology is going to change. AI is a huge player in your industry now, where, shoot, dude, in 2020, AI wasn't even a part of the conversation.
Totally.
And now it has dominated what you are doing right now, right?
In commercial space as well, like the commercials that are coming out nowadays. I mean, mine's might be a little bit more difficult to duplicate because of who my demographic typically talks to and how they talk to it. But on the masses, it's like you think of these $300,000, or bigger budget commercials for Super Bowl can be replaced by AI. And it's crazy. And
because of that, that doesn't mean you can't still build a system that allows you to profit from that.
Totally.
And so I think this is it's another important segment, which I personally think that that is going to be the next break point, as Jefferson alluded to in your career, is all right, now how do I go build this system that allows me to still continue to profit from a system that isn't how I started?
Mm-hmm.
It's so far removed from how I started, because now how are we going to use AI? And because I actually don't think AI is going to replace – I don't think AI is going to replace people necessarily. It's just going to allow people to be so much better that the people that really get good at it are going to separate themselves from the crowd and have a harder time competing with somebody who's really good at this tool.
Right.
And so I think that's, it's another, segue into business going, okay, not only do I not have to be the best, but what I do have to be the best at is finding and retaining talent that can help me get to the ultimate goal that I want to get to. In your case, it's finding a JC, right? Is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately she's going to end up having to do the same thing. And then you have to build a system that allows you to keep and retain her and allows her to continue doing that moving forward, right?
Yep.
And ultimately she's probably going to become better than you in a big way.
Yeah.
Because she's going to be closer to the customer, right?
Yep.
As long as you're better at managing the environment and the system
Right.
that she wants to continue to be a part of, right?
Yeah. No, and that's the goal. And I've given her, kind of bumping her into little salaries to do things like, hey, quality control this, and this better. And again, it could be, I find all these little broken pieces and try to have her take my role in that. And even stuff like this content that's going to come out, I was looking at reviewing some of the videos, like so frustrated just at minor spelling mistakes and things like that happen. I'm like, how does this get to me and there's still a spelling error?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so frustrating, right? But then it's like, it's not it's not them, dude. It's your system, right?
Yep.
It's like, who is not in place to check this off before it gets to, right? And so I love that there's constantly ways that you can find people to better optimize and better or create better systems. And then again, like, I love the AI side of it is like, you can utilize that tool to make your people 10 times more efficient and effective, and you know what I mean? And that's what I love about the whole AI side of things. But yeah, I'm hoping to continue to grow like that and find the people to
You're
the
gonna
A
do.
players.
No
know?
doubt about it.
I'm curious, Mitchell, as we wrap this thing up, I've heard you continue to stretch your goals year after year over the last couple of years, and what you thought wasn't possible has now become possible. So one of the things that we all hear from our mentors and other successful people is that they always wish that they would have thought bigger because they reached all their goals and dreams. And now where they thought was impossible they've surpassed a long time ago. So I'm curious now, I know that you're goal oriented and you're task oriented and you got these targets. What does it become? What is now possible for Mitchell Rose?
Currently, I still battle with this, and I'd love to hear your guys' input, but my new target is essentially scaling where I have my real estate side and my agency part of the business all under one umbrella, but having the real estate side of things doing about $100K a month, and then the agency side of things doing about $100K. So roughly $200,000 a month.
$2.5 million a year in revenue.
Yeah, but I think it's not my 10x goal for sure, but I think it's a realistic goal that if I continue to work towards, I can achieve. But also, I've been back to my battling question is like, where is that enough? Because like I was listening to, it's a book you've referred to me, and I just fired. What was the book, Connor? Your dad sent me?
Newer book?
No, it's about money. That solves it. So look, quick break, but no. Anyways, this book is basically talking about, such and such story about how, he did anything and everything to get money, which was Ponzi schemes or this or that, right? But psychology of money, that one. But it's like, you'll never be satisfied. Like, if you can never be satisfied with where you are and happy with where you are, like, no matter what you put on that other side isn't going to make you happy, kind of a thing. And so
I'm not so sure about that.
I know, and
mixed opinions because I think that has a lot to do with character and morals and ethics.
I would also say you can still be grateful and happy and dissatisfied, ambitious, and motivated at the same time.
Okay,
like
so
they're
that's
not
what I battle with.
Yeah, in fact, I think that feeling you're feeling, in fact, I told Brent, so for a long time, my goal was, hey, man, if I can get X amount of money saved, I get financially independent, I don't have to work for money anymore, then this feeling in my gut would go away.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, dude, the day that I had $1 million liquid cash, like I thought, dude, I was 25 years old, and I thought, man, if I had $1 million I could get my hands on right now, this feeling would go away. And then I got that. I woke up one morning, boom, it's there. And all of a sudden, I'm just as scared as I was yesterday. And I called Brandon, and I'm like, dude. And Brandon's exact response was, dude, you're not supposed to call me when you feel like that. You're supposed to call me if that feeling goes away. Click, like that feeling. And then I started realizing, like, oh, this feeling in my gut is ambition. It's a good feeling. I shouldn't try to get rid of this. The people that are trying to get rid of it are what we call settlers. These are the people, I have a whole talk I give on this. These are the people that, you show up to a pawn shop and you watch, they punked out on life. They sold out cheap and they settled. But that doesn't mean you can't be grateful and happy and genuinely fulfilled with where you're at while still desiring to go to the next level as a human. Mm-hmm. And my question to you would be, is $2.5 million your best? Like if you're giving it everything you got, and that's every piece of skill set and every ounce of the gifts that God gave you and all the people, is that giving it everything you got in life? If you hit $2.5 million, you say, man, I gave it my all and I gave it my best. Do you really feel like $2.5 million is that number?
No.
Okay, then I think there's your answer.
Yeah.
Happiness isn't in arriving. It's in continuously progressing.
Yeah.
It really is. And yeah, so if that feeling ever goes away, then you got to go.
Then you should be worried.
You got to figure that out. Yeah.
Stop trying to get rid of that feeling. I would say the opposite of depression is progression. And without progression, you fall into depression. And a lot of times that's what happens when someone's like, man, they just feel like there's no way out. They feel like there's no progression. There's nowhere to go from here. Man, I'm depressed. Like, this sucks. Mm-hmm. But then the opposite is when you're progressing, even though it might be uncomfortable, you're like, dang, man, I'm working my butt off and I'm blowing and going.
Nothing that fills me up more than that. Honestly, when things are moving and it's sales are closing, that's like,
that's that
the momentum feels incredible, right? Mm-hmm. But it's funny. I was talking to somebody about the whole settlers thing. I literally yesterday. Talking about how I've always seen myself as like I never want to settle. Mm-hmm. Never wanted to be a settler. But yeah, I mean, the $2.5 million, that's more of like
that's your
my by 30 by I realistically I think I could get there within the next 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I 100%
but what
believe in
vision do I have for myself next? I'm not sure. Like I genuinely, and it's more for me, I guess, looking at long picture, like what kind of an organization do I want to run and what do I want that to look like? How many people do I want? How much stuff do I have going on? And I think naturally I've always had the mindset, if you're not growing, you're dying. So like naturally I'm going to hit that $2.5 million and then be like, okay, well, minor tweak here, minor tweak there, higher.
Keep on going.
Yeah. Like it's going to,
you've heard me talk about what I learned from reading the 10X rule and making big goals.
Right.
So your $2.5 million goal is the goal that you can already see. You can already kind of envision what it's going to look like. And it's one of those goals isn't all that scary because it's like it's going to take some work to get there. Mm-hmm. But it's not scary. It's just
takes some work, but not creativity.
But if you were to say you were to 10X that goal and it's $25 million. $25 million. Now you've got to start getting creative. You got to start thinking outside the box. And if you condense the time also, and in the same amount of time you're going to go do 25 million as you were going to do 2.5 by the time you're 30, you're going to think about things differently. It's going to lead you to different outcomes than it would have if you were just focused on 2.5. And maybe you don't hit 25 million, but the outcome, the creativity, the thinking outside of the box leads you to a completely different place. Because you would have never thought about doing things at that level if you're serious about it, if you're taking true action in the direction of a $25 million goal. that you would have if you were going for 2.5.
Yep. Totally agree. Yeah, you've got to chase something that you almost can't see how in the world you could possibly get there. If you can kind of see how you're going to get there, it's not the right goal because you don't actually have to get creative to figure out solutions. It's just on autopilot, which is where comfort sets in. And then that's where you start questioning, man, is this really where if you start thinking that way, like, dang, like really, if we started going through this and say, okay, really, what would you have to do to go do 25 million next year? Which seems ridiculous, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the people, the size of the organization, and how many new customers, and how much, because
size.
Yeah, you still only have the 24 hours in a day.
Right.
So now all of a sudden you got to get creative on how would I do that?
Mm-hmm.
And that creativity is where I think all the excitement, but it's also where the challenges arise, the frustrations, all that kind of stuff.
And all the growth.
And
How
that's where it
old
all
are you right
happens.
now?
How old?
Yeah.
26.
Okay. So this is crazy. So about when you were born, it's back in 2001. It's a true story. I just got started in financial services, and I'm 22 years old, right? Never done financial services. Never really, I served a mission stuff, so I guess that's kind of sales. But got started in this financial
Definitely
company.
sales. Just different
It was
products.
sales. Yeah, it's definitely
Door to
sales.
door sales.
It actually was. But I got involved with this company, and I saw these two leaders in our company that were making seven figures. One was making, over $1 million a year. One was making like $2.5 million a year. And I went to this meeting and saw it. And then I got this audio set of one of the guys who was making $2.5 million a year. His name's Hector Lamarck. And I remember it was a Saturday morning, and there was a Saturday morning training going on at the office. And it was after the training, so I went to my training. Then I got in my car, and my leader gave me the set of tapes. Says, "Hey, you owe me $25 for 12." They were, you know what cassette tapes are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were cassette tapes. So I go in my car.
Yeah, dude, I bought one of those vintage player things right at the.
True story. Yeah.
Walkman.
I grabbed this cassette tape. It was called "Overcoming Objections." I go, man, if I knew how to overcome every objection, nothing would stop me. I pop it in my car, listen to it about 5-6 minutes, and it just like blew me away immediately. So first thing I did is call my mom. Mom, how's it going? Hey, just want to let you know, I'm gonna make $1 million a year at this company. Make $1 million. Now, I don't even think I made a sell at that point. Make $1 million a year at this thing. Now, initially, I was like, if I could just make $100,000 a year when I first started.
But what's the most you'd made in your life at this point in a year?
I don't know.
30 grand?
Not even that. Maybe 20. I was just newly married, just getting life started.
So going from 20 grand, because this is important, because going from 20 grand to 200 grand would be 10x.
Yes, and this is back in 2001 too, by the way.
Going from 20 grand to $1 million is 50x.
50x, and I had this conviction that I set that goal, and I'm not kidding you. For the next 5 years, I didn't have time for distractions. I was just fueled by it, and I just went all in and made it happen. And it took 7 years to get there, but nobody was making seven figures at that time.
You were
back
what,
in
29?
I was 29. My wife was 26, and this was in 2008. So it works,
Right.
but it's got to be a real goal, and it's got to be a goal that lights you up too.
Right.
But
No, I just even remember like being on the planes with Jeff, and like that was right in my $100,000 to $200,000 years, and just being like, man, if only I could just do $1 million. Like that'd be all I could ever ask for, And it's just funny how goals change and everything changes, but the proximity, being around Jeff and just hearing what the numbers are, and just it helped expand what I thought was possible for myself, for sure.
Then you didn't know you're going to show up today and we're going to tell you $2.5 million's too small. You need to go.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. I walked into that one. But yeah, that's, like I said, that would probably be my 3 to 5 year goal.
Mm-hmm.
But my ultimate goal, regardless of money or when and how it happens, is to be semi-retired, have the choice to retire, whatever you want to call that, financially free.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Right, by 30. But majority of my investments, it paid off, cash flowing on all my properties. Like if I wanted to live off my real estate alone, I could, right? Not saying I would, but it could. But the freedom to choose is what I'm really.
Everybody's got to learn for themselves. So.
I know.
Desiring.
No matter
But
how
no,
many
it's
times you won't hear it. I
No.
tell him, but you won't hear it.
Everything you're saying though is true, because once you once you strip the financial stuff away, it's like what really matters.
Yeah.
And it's like,
then you find what really matters.
right.
And these guys have gotten to experience that because they had a very similar vision for their future during their careers about financial independence and not having to work and choosing what I get to spend my time doing. And after they gone down that path, they found out what they wanted to choose to do with their time. And it just happened to be the same thing they thought they didn't want to be doing with their time.
And I was just going to say that everything, like as far as that situation goes, it's right now. Everything that I have, like I can choose every project. I can say when I want to be where and how much I make and this and that. But it's always that, it's just the fear, limited beliefs, and that debt that, hovers over you that makes you feel some type of way. It's just more of that situation. But strip all that away, I'd still be doing exactly what I'm doing. And I'm grateful doing it. I love working with the people that I work with. All the clients, maybe 5% are no-goers, but
that's time to raise your price on them.
No, I just had a real estate job that they funny. Call me. They're telling me they're the pickiest clients. I know exactly the kind of clients. Next thing you know, I gave them a big quote for what the job was going to be, very custom, and it's just a real estate shoot, but they wanted it this way and that way and voiceover. And I quoted them out. They accepted, good, and sure as shit, it's been 8 days working on the same project, back and forth, revisions. We're on like revision number 11.
Oh, yeah. You signed up for it.
But I said, this is the price that I said I would be okay with doing this. So no problem, The only thing I don't appreciate is when they don't appreciate, or they're getting frustrated. I'm like,
it doesn't, but does it still surprise you?
Does it surprise me? No. Because I knew right away the kind
it's
of
frustrating,
client,
but you get to a certain point where people just quit surprising you as much.
This is another important thing. I think the difference between paying a pro versus an amateur. You pay a pro, you might pay more up front, but if you pay an amateur up front, you're really going to pay more because they end up having to, either learn. My house, right? My real estate agent decided to use an amateur. I was fired up and pissed off about our pictures. So I said, you know what? We're going to use Mitch.
Yeah.
Call Mitch. My house sold within a week.
Yep.
New pictures.
They were sitting on the market for how long?
30 days.
Before that, 30
But I
days,
had an offer in 3 days. 3 days later, after new pictures were up, I had an offer from a guy who never seen it. He only saw your pictures.
Yeah, it amazes me how high level that agent is, and a lot of high level agents, just because of their reputation, but they can still settle for giving their clients mediocre photos. Because I saw them and I'm like, damn, dude, this is not good.
That's when you need a pro.
Yeah, and normally if I can admit if it's like these are pretty close to how I would do them, or maybe a couple different angles here and there, but like it was not.
This was not that.
Even,
I told you when I called you. I've learned the same thing with even different real estate agents. Who's a pro and who's an amateur? If you're going to buy a piece of real estate, you need a pro. If you're going to sell if you're going to sell a piece of real estate, you really need a pro.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to pay a huge price.
Yep.
And I think a lot of times people are looking for the best price and not the best person. But usually the best person comes with a higher price, but the value is there from what you're going to receive.
Yep.
So for many different reasons.
Yes. Yep. And it doesn't matter what industry. So I think it's another good thing. As we talk about raising prices, it's not raising prices just to raise prices. It's raising prices because you're the best. And somebody's going to get a better result because you're the best. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with an attorney or you're dealing with a photographer or you're dealing with a real estate agent or you're dealing with a professional athlete for that matter, right? If you want the best, you're going to pay the most.
It's actually unselfish to raise your prices when you're good because you can do a better job for the clients and customers you have, right?
Yeah. That's my logic with it. It's like I knew even this project with Jeff, as soon as he hit me up about it, I know we talked maybe a year before last year, and glad we waited because now I have an even better service to give and better service to provide. But I knew I knew I was going to quote this out in a way that he's never going to feel shorted. He's going to get taken care of, no questions asked, and anything he asks for is going to get done. Yeah. It's a no bullshit plan.
Well, I'm glad you were reasonable because I was at that point. I was willing to pay whatever you asked.
Yeah.
So thanks
well,
for
no,
the offer.
and that's the thing too. It's like, but it's like he's my partner in
Yeah.
real estate, and obviously, again, just full circle how he's helped me develop just as an individual and in all aspects. But it's like I'm honest in what I do and what I quote, and that's it. It's like, who's to say, yeah, thanks for telling me I could have went higher. I wouldn't have happened. Like, again, it's just like, here's the scope of work. Here's how much it's going to cost for me to do the job at, the expectations we set, and that's it. But I agree with you. If you're, I feel bad when people ask me for discounts or something, and I'm like, do you want it to turn out like shit? Because I'm going to show up and not be the guy you're expecting. For this price, you're not going to get Mitch. You're going to get
discounted Mitch.
Yeah, discounted Mitch who doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because if I want to show up, I want to show up 100% effort, locked in, giving you my all. And again, it is a disservice if you're not charging enough. It's like, that's the truth.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Agreed.
Some great business lessons today. In fact, I think some of the best business lessons we've had in a long time on this podcast.
Appreciate you sharing.
Dude.
Yeah, it's been good mixing it up and getting some new energy here. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I'd say thanks for living your life in a way that we can use this as an example to bless others. So I don't know if you recognize that, but people are always watching you and the way you've lived even before you were an adult. It's pretty cool to see that, and I'm sure your parents have some to do with that, and your grandfather, but because you're choosing to live the way you live, it's rare to find somebody at your age doing the things you're doing, being willing to seek out mentors. And we don't have time to cover this today, but I always like to delve into, where did you get the thinking? Like, were you just wired this way? So we don't have time today, I don't think, but I'd love to learn more about it. Maybe we'll have to have a second part
do
of it
another
with
one
Mitch.
for sure.
We got to do another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're a great example, and as much as you say that you've learned from me, I've learned a lot from you in the way that you add value and your commitment. It goes both ways, brother. So I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Love seeing you succeed.
Appreciate you.
And be able to spread that now to other young entrepreneurs like our guy Connor over here.
Yep. Connor's a beast.
Well, that's it for the episode today, you guys. Thank you so much for checking in. If you saw some value in this and you know somebody that could benefit, copy the link, send it over to them. Say, you got to listen to this podcast. I just heard this guy named Mitchell Rose. What an incredible story. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the Just Real Quick podcast, and we'll see you next time.